Welcome to Music is a Day Job. I'm your host, Sean. I'm also the CEO of Concert. Concert is an artist accelerator app that takes artists from opener to headliner to on tour and gives the consumer the best in independent live music shows. This is actually a crazy thing I seen online that I seen someone talk about it and actually was doing numbers was that a lot of people were wondering because I think it's part of the idea that people put out there. And one of the things I seen was it they said, do I have to sell my soul to be in the music industry? To Now, here's the thing. Um, I don't actually believe like I get the idea of where it comes from. So like I get the idea of selling your soul of like the I guess you can kind of say the uh it's kind of like a how can I put it? It's kind of like an idea that is based off of doing, I guess you can say, negative things and allowing these negative things to consume you. So I don't really believe in actually signing away your soul. And a lot of people it's different levels of this because some people say once money gets involved, that's when you're doing it. And I don't believe that because the thing is we all need money to live on this earth. And inside, I would rather make my money I'd rather make my money doing something I love than doing something I don't love. So if I can figure it out, I'd rather do something I love than something I don't love. So then it'd be very similar to saying, if you didn't do what you love, are you selling your soul? So then I don't believe in that understanding of like just because someone does it for money. Because I think in some spaces you're doing it for money because that's what you love to do. And some people can be interpreted based on what part of their characteristics they decide to show inside being famous. Like let's say someone, like some people, I don't feel like they'll say some people do like more sexualized music, and some people I feel like are more sexualized people, like they're more sexual people, and that's why they chose that route and they're willing to capitalize on it, which isn't a bad thing in this world. Like I don't feel it's a bad thing because it's something that exists. It's something that is the truth. The news speaks on everything just like these people would. So then maybe they are like, you got to watch what you allow people to consume. So then, yes, what children can consume or whatever like that, you have to watch what they consume. But as an adult, you consume all of it in movies, in everything. So then it's one of those things that you choose whether you're going to consume it or not. Now, if someone wants to go and talk about it, that's them talking about it. And I don't think you can stop everyone because people have freedom of speech. But the one thing about that statement that was like, can you sell your soul? Do you have to sell your soul? The one thing I've seen that I say is the possibility of selling your soul is the idea that some artists, they get put in a box intentionally. So it's not to say that they're signing to say, "Hey, I'm going to do this to intentionally be evil." They're willing to do it for a dollar amount, which is messed up. However, the piece that's selling your soul is that you're willing to take it to those limits that they're going to offer it to you. I've watched artists for instance, I've watched artists that have drug addictions get to a label, and then the label basically get you in a space where all your addictions are available to you because the music you create sounds better when you're addicted. And so they will allow you to be around it more. And now this is selling your soul with that understanding. Now, if you are a person that, let's say you could be a gangster rapper, and I'm going to put you around tons of things that's going to question whether you're that person, or put you around tons of places and put you in a space where you have to react like a gangster all the time because this is what's going to run up the numbers for the label. So now when you knowingly do this to yourself, I feel that's a kind of concept. That's the main concept of like selling your soul, to be like, hey, I'm willing to take whatever comes with this um for a dollar. So basically I'm willing to put my life on the line for a dollar. And when artists do that, that's the way I kind of seen it when I was close to the industry. Was that was what was the signing, was it was kind of like, it was, some people know it and some people kind of don't, because if you're closed off into that idea of it, and like whatever you know what I'm saying, whatever you represent in your music, if you're kind of like already in it a lot, sometimes when someone offers it to you, you may not see it. So then it's hard to say that they're intentionally selling their soul for a dollar, because for instance, if I'm gangster and I'm in these elements all day, what am I going back home to if I don't sign this deal? So then inside of it, if I just do it for money, now I was already going to be in this element all day anyway. So then it's hard to see outside of it. And even with like addictions, this person could already been an addict and then it gets presented to them. And so the one thing that I do see as what you could say as selling your soul is when someone does it knowingly and goes like, yo, I'm knowingly going to turn up this level and I'm knowingly going to do this for this dollar, which I don't see. I do see some artists that are like that, but then I don't see some, like some of them I'll be like, dang, like you didn't come up like that and you're not really like that. Like, and then now you're like that. And it's kind of like, like I see where people can come up with the selling your soul type idea. But I don't feel like you have to. I feel like sometimes we do expand on things in our life that could be negative or positive, but we expand on them and they could bring us to a place where it could negatively affect us. And I don't think they sold it. So I think they're just talking from experience and what they know. So if you come up like you know what I'm saying? Like however some of these rappers are, or some of these musicians or rockers, they can come up in a situation where that's how they already live and they're expanding on it. And then they get caught in the whirlwind of it. Because when you talk about it, what happens is you're more than likely putting yourself around it more and more and more and more. And I don't feel everyone just does that intentionally. I feel they get an opportunity to see making a living and feeding their family off of it, and then they take it and then they get caught in it. However, there are those very few that I do see that I'm just kind of like, oh, you're just doing this to, you know what I'm saying? You're just doing this to get that extra, to get that money, and you just see it as a get up. And those are the people I believe sell their soul. I don't feel like you have to. I feel like you can get caught up in a different way, but just being aware of what you're doing is the number one step right there. Is being aware of what you're doing and what could possibly come with how you're presenting yourself. I feel like that's the main ingredient, is knowing what you're willing to do or whatever like that, and don't just do it just to do it. Like if you're in a situation, because I've seen, you know what I'm saying, I've seen some artists that come from areas that they would be in worse situations if they stay in the area. And so inside that, it's like, okay, I get what you're doing, and it's not selling your soul, because it's basically saying, hey, I'm taking this job that's going to change my family's entire life. So I'm willing to take this. Now, if you know that that's the risk you're taking and you're in it, then it is kind of what it is. Like people do tons of things, and like in this world where they risk their lives, you know what I'm saying? People have risked their lives for the country. People have risked their lives for anything, and some people understand what they're signing on. Now, if you're doing it just as a get back to be like, oh, like I'm just going to do this, and you're not thinking those consequences can come with some of the things you're doing, then that's where you're gonna selling your soul to risk it all. But understanding that and being like, yo, you don't have to sell your soul. And just because someone talks about something that may not be popping to you doesn't mean they sold their soul. That might be their real life. And so understanding that, and understanding that everyone's different. Everyone can be one way or be the other way. And then if not that they sold their soul, it may seem that it's pop on the radio, but it's a lot of people that are like that. So then they might just be telling their story this time. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel you have to sell your soul to be in the industry or in the music industry in general. Like that's, but then also, as I said, like you get more of an opportunity to just be you when you stay independent, because they're not going to find that point that is your, like, the point that makes them constant money. They're not going to point you towards that. So then you're going to get to say like, hey, this is how I want to talk all the time. But then, yeah, they're going to be like, yo, this is where we're going to take you. Like, you sound dope when you talk like this. So we're going to force you to we're going to point you towards this direction. So, yeah.